Okay, 2.1, day 2. Today we're going to work on writing quad functions in vertex form. We're going to have to complete the square in order to do that, and then use those results to get a sketch going for our quadratic. Okay, we'll also use skills of finding x and y intercepts, axis of symmetry, and stuff like that. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at example 1 on the next page. Write the quad function in vertex form. Okay, so to put it in vertex form means we need to go from here, standard form, to vertex form. Okay, in order to go from here to here, we're going to complete the square. All right, so on Appendix A5, on those notes, I had you guys write down the success criteria for completing the square. So we're going to go right through these again. We're going to have to move C to the other side. Then we got to take half of B and square it. Usually once you get through steps 1 and 2, everything moves pretty smoothly from there. Okay. All right. So let's make note. In order to put it in vertex form, we're going to complete the square to put in vertex form. All right, so the first step in Appendix A5 says move C to the other side. We got to get rid of this -5. So we're just going to add 5 to both sides. Add 5 over here to get things going. So f of x plus 5 equals x squared minus 4x. Okay, next step. Now that we did that, we want to take half of this b term and square it. So I'm going to take -4 divided by 2, which is -2, and then I square that to get +4. So I need to add that here, and then balance my equation and add it here. All right, now this will be easy to factor. I'm looking for factors of 4 that add up to -4. So it's -2 times -2. So this factors to x minus 2 and x minus 2, but we're completing the square, so we're going to write that as x minus 2 quantity squared. Okay. On this side we have 9. So f of x plus 9. And I'm almost there. Just move this 9 over so we have the k value, and then we'll be done. Okay, so we went from standard form to vertex form. I'll go through the steps again. Get rid of the c value if you have one. Okay. And then we take half of b and square it to get this number that we need to add to both sides. Sometimes we like to put check marks over top to make sure it's balanced, and then factor it. Move this number over. All right, so to find the vertex, so right now we did write it in vertex form, okay? But notice it says to identify the vertex. I think it's best just to think about your transformation rules that we worked on in chapter 1. So for example, y equals x squared has a vertex of 0, 0, right? It's the parent function. It's right here, 0, 0. So if we subtract 2 inside the function, it's supposed to move it to the right 2 units. And then we subtract 9 outside, it's supposed to go down 9 units. So we're over at 2, -9 now. So the vertex is at 2, -9. Okay, and we're going to sketch the graph, so we can go ahead and get over here and put that on there. 6, 7. Extend this line. 8, 9. Okay, so that's our turning point. All right, so we identified the vertex. Let's wait on the axis of symmetry. Let's get the intercepts next, and then I want to conclude with the axis of symmetry. Okay. All right, so a little more room down here for the x-intercepts. I'm going to do the y-intercept right here. Y-intercepts, all y-intercepts have x values of zeros, which is what we went over in chapter 1 as well. So I'm going to plug in 0 here and here to get my y. So y equals 0 squared minus 4 times 0 minus 5. So that math works out pretty easy. We end up with -5, for y. Or in coordinate form, when x is 0, y is -5. Okay, so we got that piece of the graph now too. X-intercepts, we worked on this skill in yesterday's notes. We always replace y with 0 for x-intercepts. You actually have options here. You could throw in 0 here. Okay, we're going to have to factor that or use the quad formula, or we could throw in 0 here and add 9, take the square root of both sides, and do what we did in Appendix A5. Your call. I went back here just in case you make a mistake in this process. All right, so check to see, are there factors of -5 that add up to -4? And there are. Okay, -5 and +1 are the factors. So we end up with this expression now. And now I can set both of these equal to 0 using the zero product law. Add 5, subtract 1. So I get +5 and -1. Okay, remember this isn't one coordinate. These are two separate x-intercepts. So to make sure we're clear here, I'm going to write them in coordinate form. When x is 5, y is 0. And when x was -1, pair that with a y value of 0. So 5, 0, and -1, 0. Okay, so we're going to use the turning point and these points to kind of sketch our parabola. Okay, like so. Only thing we're missing is the axis of symmetry, right? We identified these, a lot of answers to this problem. It takes a while to get through. All right, these are like 5-minute problems, so I'm not going to assign you more than like 3 or 4 because I understand that. Axis of symmetry. It's the line, look at this diagram up here. It's the dashed line that makes this parabola symmetric. I'm going to draw my dashed line in here too. But then we have to identify it and write it down. All vertical lines are in the form x equals some number. So in this case, it's x equals 2. Okay, so the axis of symmetry is at x equals 2. You got to have the x equals. Don't just put 2. And the x equals explains the vertical line. Okay? Okay. So I want you to try all these components for the next example. However, I'm going to give you a different example than what's in your notes. I want you to replace example 2 with this one here. Okay? So cross that out. X squared minus 6x plus 7. Okay, go ahead and pause the video and try to complete the square on your own. Put it in vertex form. When you get to the x-intercepts, this one's actually not factorable. There are not factors of +7 that give you -6. So you're going to have to use the quadratic formula. Okay, and then we'll get a decimal form so we can plot it. All right, so go ahead and try some of those components, get the y-intercepts, and then I'll give you feedback here in just a moment. Okay, I'm going to take you through this. Pause where you need to. Move the 7 over. Okay. Half of b squared is 9. Add it to both sides. Now this makes it easy to factor. Factor down to x minus 3 squared. Okay. Take this +2, move it over. Now we can easily get our vertex. 3 to the right, down 2. Okay. Y-intercepts, 0, 7. X-intercepts, this is not factorable. Some students are kind of messing that stuff up. They're thinking that it is factorable. Remember, when you're thinking through factors of 7 that have a sum of -6, is that possible? Well, to be factors of 7, I'm going to need either 1 and 7, both positive, or they can both be negative. Okay, but I can't have combos. I can't have -1 and +7 because multiply that together, I get a -7. It has to be +7. So these are the only possibilities. And it gives me a sum of 8 and -8. So this is not factorable, okay? So it doesn't mean we give up on the problem. Our backup resource is the quadratic formula. Okay, so put everything in the right spot. That gives me 8 under the radical. Now, sometimes we simplify this. If they say just solve the problem and give the solutions, you would. But we're trying to plot this. Okay, so we want a decimal form of this. All right, so let me make sure we understand how to plug this in your calculator. You put parentheses in your numerator. 6 plus square root of 8, close it, divide by 2, get your decimal form of 4.4. Now we can plot it. Okay? And then just do the 6 minus square root of 8 divided by 2. 1.6. Okay, so we've got everything now. We can put it together. 4.4, 1.6. Our y-intercept of 7's up here. Vertex, fit your curve. And then don't forget the axis of symmetry. Always cuts through your vertex. So x equals 3. Okay? All right, when you get to your problems today in your OTI, heads up on this. When they call this standard form, your group of problems are going to be from this group right here. It says, in order to graph it, we're going to write the quad function in standard form. They mean vertex form here, okay? These already are in standard form. You're going to put it in vertex form so that you can identify the vertex and then start your graph. And then find your axis of symmetry and get your intercepts going too. It doesn't say y, but I encourage you to do x and y, okay? So just like we did in the notes, basically, do the same directions. All right, so here's your problems. I'll also post this, but if you want to write these down right now and get started, these are the 4 problems I'm going to have you do today. All right, have a good day. Talk to you soon.